And so the first thing that we do is after the welcome is we start a process by which we say, what is the business objective? What's the problem we're trying to solve? And there's sort of a 4-part structure to that. And the first part is, what are the business objectives that we should be trying to achieve in solving this problem? And so what it looks like is, things like we want to improve time to value, or we want to improve customer engagement. Whatever the problem is, the business objectives will be, typically we'll start with an action verb like improvement or reduce churn or accelerate or simplify. It's not about the solution. Again, it's about the objective. What is the business trying to achieve? And so I always coach folks to write their ideas down in terms of action verbs. And so what we'll do is we have a whole stack of sticky notes that we give the participants, and each participant writes down what they think the chief business objectives would be. And we whack them to the wall, and we ask each person to basically put the green dot, or depending on the number of objectives you have, multiple green dots on the objective that you think is the most important to achieve. It's a straw man poll, really, but it allows the team to think about what they think is the most important business objective. And so that once we do that, we take the top ones that we have identified, and those become what we call our top business objectives.
This process too, at the beginning, you've seen the scribble lines where we always explain this as a visual, where there's a lot of ideas that are coming on day one, and we're trying to like collapse those ideas into a nice tight funnel, because they're going to be all over the place and the scope is just going to be very enormous. And so pinpointing what you need to focus on is really important at that beginning stage. So you're going to see a lot of jumping around and a lot of ideas getting thrown into here. And so our job is to really facilitate and make them understand this is part of the process. You get all the ideas out in your head, but we still have to start refining the scope of what we're actually focusing in on.
So at the end of the day, this first step in problem definition is, what is the business trying to achieve? And so everybody casts a vote on what they think the top, business objective is. And then the second part of the problem definition is, if we don't achieve these objectives, what's the cost of inaction? And then that's important to come up with, because it's important to know, it's important to rally around, why are we doing this work? Or why are we solving this problem? And it lends credence to, rallying the troops around solving this problem by identifying what would happen if we don't do these things. And so that's the second question that we ask, like, what adverse effects are being created because the business has not achieved these objectives? Again, total business focus in this first session. Now we've got top business objectives, and we've got our top adverse effects. And so based on those, what opportunities exist to change customer behavior if we were to address or take advantage of these participate in addressing these business outcomes and these adverse effects? And again, it's not about solution identification. It's more about saying, if we reduced churn, then the opportunity would be that, customers would, stay with our platform longer. They would develop higher quality relationships, optimistic statements like that. And then the last step is, what would be the key success results for the business if we were successful in addressing the business objectives, the adverse effects, and took advantage of the key core opportunities that we've identified? And once you put all of those together, you've actually written a pretty effective problem statement. So it gives the team something to rally around success. Now, these values might change over the length of the project, but it gives the team something to really rally around and stake a flag in the ground as to what success looks like.
And that's day one.
So that's day one.